Look at that, a clutch alignment tool if I've ever seen one, which I haven't.
You want some bolts?
Or do we just fuck it off and just fucking hope it stays there?
What?
Do you want 2 bolts? How many do you want?
I'll only put 2 in there. We don't even know the torque settings so.
Yeah, what's it matter anyway?
That's never happened.
It's cold. It's like, it's cold! It's cold because it's cold. It's the coldest it's died.
So Max has left me and I've got to finish getting the dumper up and running. So for those that are interested, I'm going to keep doing the video. This is a chain drive dumper. It's the gearbox, obviously the engine, which is probably what we were fitting in the first part of this video. But there's now a chain that goes round a sprocket here that goes down to the bottom sprocket. That needs bolting on, and then you need to get the chain on and then bolt the second sprocket on here. Then there is this housing that goes over the top, which works as a chain. There's like a bit of metal that goes in here that acts as a chain tensioner. Just sort of keeps the chain in a like a flowing direction to stop it skipping over the sprockets. But obviously that's the other sprocket, and then that's part of the lower sprocket. We've got to get all these nuts and bolts and plates all back on the dumper, which hopefully get done today. So let's see how I do. This is the chain that runs the dumper. That's a 24mm socket, just for reference. It's quite a thick chain. It's not like your average bicycle chain that runs this transfer box down to the bottom. I've got both the sprockets on. As you can see, that one's actually bolted on. I just want to leave this one just so I've got a bit of play in it so I can move it in and out just to get it adjusted upright, because I may have to pull this one out and then rotate it around and put it back in just to make sure the splines line up, because this one I can rotate because the gearbox is in neutral, whereas that one I can't without having to move the dumper back and forth. So I can adjust this one but I can't adjust that one. This thing's a 2-ton dumper, which has got what is about 2 ton of dirt in the front. So I ain't moving this thing on my own, and the thing probably weighs definitely a ton, if not more, the actual whole thing itself. So I wouldn't know off the top of my head what it is. It's got nothing to say how much it weighs, but yeah, I'm not moving this. So best bet is to just adjust off of this, because I can take this out and adjust it on the splines, and also I can move this around to get it all adjusted up right. We'll see how it goes, but I've got to take this master link chain. You see this one's got a bit of a split in here that comes out, and then I can push the master link out, wrap this chain around the 2 sprockets, and then push this back together. So I'm just going to go grab a pair of pliers so I can get this off, and then start putting it all back together. So I'm just about to do this one up, but I was then thinking I should put it into gear, and then it just creates a bit more resistance against the socket. So the reason I had to rebuild this gearbox was because the main output shaft broke, and you used to be able to grab this and this sprocket and completely shake this up and down, completely gone. It made some really awful noises when we were trying to move it around, so it was like, right, let's rebuild it. So I had to strip this gearbox completely down, rebuild it up with brand new bearings and bushes. Anything that was worn down I replaced, which is pretty much everything, seeing as it's a 50-year-old dumper, so needed pretty much everything doing in the gearbox. Yeah, I'm just getting back to rebuilding it. Had to have a custom shaft made to replace, but getting there slowly. I should have it back this afternoon because this last part to do isn't terribly much to get back together. It's only literally just get this bolted back together and thrown on. So let's see how it goes. So I forgot to mention as well, this needs a seal that mates onto the flat surface. So I bought some of this, like a 2 meters of car door edging. It's like to protect your car door from, you know, getting bumps, but it's like just a U-shaped bit of rubber, just to make a new seal because the old one had gone like hard. So I'm just going to use this mallet to just tap it on all the way around this, you know, around the case, and then just use some scissors to cut it. Obviously I'm not going to have the join at the bottom, but I'll have the join sort of at the top, hopefully somewhere in the top of this casing, so should be fine. So I've got this seal all fitted now, which is nice. It goes all the way around. It's not like an oil seal, it's just so that when it's on, one, it creates quite a good mating surface. If there's any sort of imperfections in the metal, it just helps, you know, join all these two surfaces together as you clamp them up. Also, it's just to stop, like, if if you're going through any water, it has these two plates, which are these two plates back here that bolt onto here, and you take them off, and then you can sort of put some grease on the chain. That's how it all stays lubricated. That'll be something to sort of bear in mind during servicing, just to whip those two plates off, put some grease on it, and then it's all ready to go. So this case is all bolted back on. You see bolts sort of go through and clamp. Seal worked really nicely all round, created a nice mating surface, so as I did it up I could see the seal expand out a little bit, which is good to see. Just shows that it's pushing in and actually creating a seal, which is good. Just need to get the cover plates back on these parts, which is one goes on there, and it will fit nicely with that bolt, because I added the washer that I put on is not there. So basically my phone died yesterday, and I continued to get the case back together and put the plates back on. I did have this one back on, but it's had to come back off, because after reinstalling this flange, I realised that when this goes on, like that, this no longer lines up with this housing. Now, there is slight adjustment in this whole case, but it requires me taking this sprocket back off to undo the bolts on the back of the gearbox, so I can move this case slightly down so that this, or slightly up, or whatever I've got to do with it, just so I can get this lined up. And you know, no matter how I turn this, it will not go on, because it's, I mean, even if you look at this now, you can see that that's slightly off with the whole case. So just got to adjust this housing so that this fits on. There you go. That goes on, and then this prop shaft down here bolts onto these bolts on here, and then that allows the four-wheel drive system to work. But obviously it doesn't fit, so I've got to make a slight adjustment, and then maybe I'll get it working today. But this is literally the day after, so I sort of gave up on it yesterday because annoying things happen. So I've now removed the chain again. As you can see, it's just curled up back down there. Then I got the sprocket up here, and you can see I'm back to sort of where I was. You see these bolt holes? They're like slightly, you know, they're sort of ovaled on all of them. That's so that I can adjust this case, the sort of tilt on the case, so that I can get that in line. So I'm gonna put that steadier bearing back down here on this part, and put the steadier bearing back on, and then I will be able to rotate this whole case so that that steadier bearing lines up and all fits together. I'll back them all off. I'm going to change the washers on all of them because they're not great washers. Or was it just this one actually? It's not got a great wash on. Maybe. I'll have a look. Yeah, I'm going to loosen them all off. And then there's also 4 bolts down there that just like lock it in place once it's done. So I've got to obviously undo them. And so finally managed to get this bolted back in. As you see, it's not quite there, but that's because this is quite worn, this housing, because this was spinning on its own when we were last using it because it wasn't done up tight enough. I've got the castle nut back on. I just need to finish putting a cot pin in so that doesn't come undone, and then I can bolt the prop onto the 4 bolts on there. I've just got to put the sprocket and chain back in. So it's been about a week since I was last working on the dumper. I had some stuff come up, and yeah, I just had to take a bit of a break from doing any work to this dumper. As you can see, it has moved, which kind of answers the question as to whether it has worked or not. I mean, I was just out working on it today, finishing up the last few bits, which I'll show you, and then give it a little demonstration of how it all works. As you see, the bucket's all tipped up, which it has been for a couple of days since I drove it, because it was full of mud, so I tipped the mud up there where we've been putting the mud, and as you see, it's just started drying out, which is quite good. It's nice to just start having it dry out and so it doesn't rot over the winter. So around here was where I was working, and last time I said I had to just get this readjusted, this transfer box, because the bottom bearing in there wasn't aligned with the case. It may not look like it is, but that's like as good as it's going to get, because I presume at some point in the past it broke off because it's been re-welded badly by someone. But yeah, that's the way it is. I had to take literally every bolt back off again, sort of undo them so that all this was free and could move, and then I could get it all lined up, set up correctly, and it's now all lined up and you see it all works. And today I just fitted this new gator and threw some grease in the bottom bearing. That's why my hands are a bit greasy. So yeah, did all that, and yeah, she's all ready to go now. Just thought I'd do a quick little walk around. So this engine is a Peter PH2 twin cylinder diesel. So you've got diesel tank, fuel filter. It's not a starter motor. It's definitely 100% is a hand crank. If it was, I would be very happy if it was a starter motor, because it's a pain to start. Also, you got the gearbox, which is what I've had to rebuild this, and then Max gave me a hand fitting the gearbox the other day because it's a bit fiddly to try and hold this in and bolt it all up, so it's handy. This is the hydraulic pump, which is run off of the flywheel. Then this is a valve block for the hydraulics that controls the tip on this lever, and then it has a feed off that goes down to the steering, because the steering's on a ram. That's the ram there for the steering, because it's a centre steer, so it pivots in the centre. Also, you've got the hydraulic hoses that run out to the 2 rams that the tipper has, because it's a 2-ton dumper, so obviously it needs quite a lot of strength to be able to push the dirt over to tip 2-ton. Obviously you got front axle across the front. Obviously none of the axles steer because it's centre steer, so they're just basic axles. It's like they're like the same as like just having 2 rear axles. Obviously prop shaft at the bottom, which joins up with the transfer box. Round here we've got this tank here, which isn't the fuel tank, this is the hydraulic tank. See, this is the handbrake here, joins up to there, the seat. These are the 2 injector pumps. It's got 2, they're quite beefy, basically 1 per cylinder. And then you've got this, which is the throttle, and it controls the amount of fuel that goes through the pumps. That's basically it. I mean, the on switch literally for the engine is this little thing here you pull back, and that just switches the engine on. And then once it's going, that's it. Obviously you stick the hand crank in there. This is the decompression valve, so you can turn it over easier. You can turn it over and then you drop this, adds compression, and then it should fire up. It's normal pedals like a car. You got clutch, brake, accelerator, and the steering's on a hydraulic. I can't ever remember what these are called, but basically it just diverts the hydraulic flow in the direction that you're steering, so that it can push the ram out or pull it in depending on which direction you want to go. And that's pretty much it. There's not much to it. Yeah, there you go. It's Johnson's 4-wheel drive dumper. I'm not sure on the age. It's about 1970s, early 1970s. Yeah, there's not a lot about it online, apart from, as we probably pointed out, it used to belong to Murphy. There's a sticker there, it kind of does say Murphy. I think the other side's a little bit clearer. Yeah, there you go. Does say Murphy. They're a construction company, so it's a cool bit of history, really. We'd like to keep going because it's done a lot of work for us, and hopefully it'll do a lot more work for us while we need it. So yeah, it's a good little machine. Just had a full gearbox rebuild, so should last another 50 years hopefully. I'll show me starting it up, and then I'll move it off nicely, and then usually it idles pretty steady, but I think it's going to idle now. But yeah, it's quite a cold day, so it's not idling quite well. But that's only because it's completely mechanical. It's got no way of holding the idle or controlling or adjusting the throttle itself to keep it going. So until it's warmed up, which I think it has now, I just keep having to like sort of just keep throttling it. But yeah, it's going now. Quite a nice touch to it. Yeah, powerful machine. I mean, the video doesn't do it justice, because this is quite a drop here, up both sides, and it just cools up it like nothing. I mean, it just cools straight over this pile of stuff. Just like doesn't phase it when it climbs up this bank, yeah, like easily. I mean, I don't want to push it because it is old, and last time I pushed it, it broke. But I mean, I've had it climbing piles like this before. You know, there's quite a big pile here. Normally, I mean, if I wasn't so worried about breaking it again, I'd just climb it straight over all this to get down there. It is road registered, but I'm just trying to sort the V5 out for it, because when we got it, the number plate was hard to read and Still trying to sort all that out. Should be a number plate in that gap. But yeah, it's a very good machine. It does a very good job. Right, there you go. That's the 1970s dumper, ready to do some more work. That's pretty much it. Hope you've enjoyed. I know you're normally watching band content, but if you were all interested in what happened to it, then you know it's nice to be updated, I guess. Yeah. Hope you guys all enjoyed.